Okay, guys. Hey, as promised, I am back with the second half of this legal document on David Mabuza and company. Um, so I cut it off last time so that it wouldn't go too long. But I want to pick up where I left off, and it was with the witness giving information on murders. So the other half of this, it starts out. He says people that I was personally involved in either poisoning, planting illegal substances in their homes, and carrying out hits on them are as follows. A. James Kimbule. In 2006, Mr. Mabuza at his farm instructed me to poison James Kimberley. He only told me that James was writing stories about him in newspapers. He also told me that James was a big problem that needed to be silenced. While Mr. Mabuza was on speaking terms with James, he made me pretend to be a traditional healer and took me to James's house in Barberton Town. When James was sick, Oh, no, when James was sick. This may have been in 2002. I cannot recall. That's why I do not need a picture of Mr. James Kimbule. When I had to poison him because I knew him. Wow. Mr. Mabuza handed me a small bottle that was full of liquid substances. He instructed me to infiltrate a catering company that was catering for a matrix dance at which James Kimbule was to speak. I did in September 2006, and at the Barberton Guest House. Empty the bottle Mr. Mabuza gave me into James's food. I went personally to serve him at his table. For this, Mabuza paid me 5,000 rand. A week later, Mr. Mabuza complained in December 2006 that I did not do a proper job because James was not dead. He was hospitalized only. I told Mr. Mabuza that I did as he instructed me to do. Okay, B. Andries Gemide. In 2008 or 2007, Mr. Mabuza instructed me to poison Mr. Andries Gemide. I was surprised at this instruction, as Mr. Gemide, who was the mayor of Gert-Sibande District Council, was a friend of Mr. Mabuza. I was to poison Mr. Gemide at a function in Ermelo in similar circumstances as James Kimbule. On the day in question, I panicked and instead phoned Mr. Gemide and told him not to eat anything at the function. I also told him that I was sent to poison him, but never told him who sent me or my name. I threw the bottle of poison away on my way back from Ermelo. I was transported on this trip by Mr. Nakuna, an associate of Mr. Mabuza's. C. Mr. Isaiah Koza. Mr. Mabuza and Mr. Mabona instructed me in 2000 to plant drugs at Mr. Isaiah Koza's house in Nelspruit. Mr. Koza was the mayor of Nelspruit. The plan was to plant mandrakes and cocaine at Mr. Koza's house and then phone Captain Malapo to raid Mr. Koza's house and arrest him. I was handed the drugs by Mr. Mabuza himself. I did plant the drugs as instructed, but Captain Malapo was ill on the day in question, and the arrest could not happen. I don't know what happened to the drugs at Mr. Koza's house. D. Fish Malalela. I was instructed by Mr. Mabuza and Mr. Mabona in 2000 to shoot and kill Mr. Malalela, who was a minister in Mpumalanga, I think, guys. I did not proceed with the shooting after I learned that Mr. Malala had extensive military training in Russia, and I was warned that I may not come out alive. After Mr. Malala was removed as minister, Mr. Mabuza instructed me in 2003 to arrange a certain Britain Fukude, who works at Correctional Services, to befriend Mr. Malalala's wife, known as Faith. This was after I had arranged an HIV-positive prostitute to sleep with Fukuda. Mr. Fukuda, I'm sorry, it's hard to read on the bottom. Mr. Fukuda complied and had sex with Mr. Malalala's wife at a room at Road Lodge, Nelsprut. The aim was to break Mr. Malalala's marriage and to infect him with HIV. Mr. Fukuda still remains in a relationship with Mr. Malalala's wife and was guaranteed protection by Mr. Mabuza. I can't even believe this. Mr. Masiza. I was instructed by Mr. Mabuza and Mr. Mabona in 2000 to shoot and kill a certain Mr. Masiza from Quantibele, yeah, who owned a driving school and was costing Mr. Mabona and Mr. Mabuza business because he refused to sell his driving school to him. I shot and killed Mr. Masiza in late 2000. Mr. Mabona paid me 10,000 rand. F. Burial of an unknown man. In 2004 or 2005, Mr. Patrick Chirwa and a young man who was introduced as Sigudla from Ermelo came in one night with the body of a dead man. I was instructed by both Mr. Chirwa and Mr. Mabuza, who arrived later, to dig a grave and bury the man, which I did. This was in Elanshuk Farm. I overheard a conversation between Mr. Chirwa, Sigudla, and Mr. Mabuza that Mr. Chirwa will drive the dead man's car into Malawi and make it look like the man vanished into Malawi. During the same period, 2 bodies of men were brought for burial by Mr. Bobby Motong, accompanied by Mr. Mabuza. I buried those bodies at Elanshuk Farm. G. Bombela Operation. In November 2008, I was called into a meeting at the lounge of Mr. Mabuza's house at Barberton. Present at the meeting were Messrs. David Mabuza, Patrick Chirwa, Bobby Motong, and Herbert Deletti. At this meeting, I was instructed to recruit 4 others to help me with this operation. The operation meant the elimination of people whose pictures and corresponding names were given to me. These were identified as Lassie Chiwayo, Jimmy Molala, Naki Nedlovi, Victor Malimi, and Sanganata Siboza. I subsequently recruited the following people. Blank, it's all blank. And I guess that's it. Yeah, it left out the names, even the name of the informant. But as you can see, and I've spoken to someone who actually has worked in these courts, that this is a legit stamp, even though it looks backwards from the magistrate. So that's it for this one, guys, and this is This is crazy. This is very important information. I mean, this is insane. I apologize for my pronunciation, but I'm American, and so it was a little bit difficult for me. But thank you guys for listening, and please share because, like I said, this document has not been seen or heard of in 8 years, and we need to get this information out there because this is the deputy president. That's insanity to me. I just can't believe that. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.